All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jack Gross, and today we'll be going through Lab 816 32 Ozark Outdoor Adventures. So, the fictional company will go through their balance sheet, accounting ratios such as solvency, as well as liquidity ratios. And the question we'll be asking today is what is the quick ratio, the debt to equity ratio, and the cash ratio of Ozark Outdoor Adventure? And what do these ratios tell us about the company's financial position? Before we start, what is required is going to be the Excel file of Ozark Outdoors Incorporated, their balance sheet, as well as ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever is easier for you to use, as well as we're going to create a bar chart with these financial ratios included in them. And then the next thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is complete the multiple choice questions as well as the free response questions at the end. So first, let's go over to GenAI. Let's go through the box, accounting GenAI student folder, and we're going to find 816-32. And we're going to download this lab on Excel and hit this download button right here. Perfect. Now we're going to go back and we're going to go into ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever's easier for you. And we're going to ask Chat to start a new conversation. Awesome. Our second prompt we're going to ask is upload the Excel file titled GenAI 81632 lab data. And then I'm going to click this plus button, upload photos and files. Here we go. Sometimes it might ask you to upload the file again. That's okay. We'll just do the same procedure we did 2 seconds ago. And sometimes it takes Chat a second to upload. All right, so now that we have it uploaded, you got it, your Excel file has already been uploaded, ready to go. Perfect. Now the third prompt we're going to ask is calculate the quick ratio, provide the formula, and tell me if the ratio is a liquidity or solvency ratio, and provide the definition of a quick ratio and what does it measure. So we're going to go in, calculate the quick ratio, and provide a, and excuse my slow typing. Awesome. With this prompt, we're able to get the formula as well as exactly what components are calculated within the formula, the numbers that go into this formula, and we get the correct answer of 3.22. Also, with this prompt, we're able to see if the quick ratio is liquidity or solvency. In this case, the quick ratio is a liquidity ratio. And we get the definition, how the quick ratio measures how well a company can meet its short-term obligations using its most liquid assets, cash, and accounts receivable. And what does this quick ratio measure? It's the company has $3.22 in quick assets for every $1 of current liabilities. Ozark Outdoors can easily cover its short-term obligations. So With this prompt, we're able to know the formula, the components that go into the formula, as well as the definition of the quick ratio, what does this ratio measure, and with all this information, we're able to understand that Ozark Outdoor can easily cover its short-term obligations, and this gives us a brief understanding of their financial position. Next, we're going to do the same exact thing we did for the quick ratio, but for the debt to equity ratio. The prompt we're going to use is calculate the debt to equity ratio, provide the formula, tell me if the ratio is liquidity or solvency ratio, and provide the definition of a debt to equity ratio and what does it measure. Perfect. Excuse my poor typing. Awesome. With this prompt, we're able to get the formula as well as the components that make up the debt to equity ratio, which is the debt to equity ratio equals the numerator, the total liabilities, divided by the total stockholders' equity. In this case, we have total liabilities as $371,110, and our total stockholders' equity is $561,860, which is equal to 0.66. With this prompt, we're able to understand if this debt to equity ratio is a liquidity or solvency ratio. In this case, it's a solvency ratio, which evaluates the long-term financial stability, not the short-term liquidity. The definition of a debt to equity ratio measures how much a company relies on debt compared to its owner's equity to finance its operations and assets. It's a key indicator in a company's leverage and long-term financial risk. And what does this debt equity ratio measure? With a ratio being 0.66, this means that for every $1 of equity, the company uses 66 cents of debt. This indicates a moderate leverage, which is generally viewed as financially healthy. Perfect. Now, so with this prompt, we're able to, once again, like how we were for the quick ratio, it gives us the formula, the definition, the answer, as well as what does this ratio measure and how it impacts Ozark's Outdoor Adventures financial position. Next, let's use the fifth prompt, which is calculate the cash ratio, provide the formula, tell me if this ratio is liquidity or solvency ratio, and provide the definition of a cash ratio and what it measures. So I'm going to type this in here in the bar. Perfect. With this cash ratio, with this prompt, we're able to see the calculation of the cash ratio, which is on the numerator, cash divided by the denominator, current liabilities. We get the calculation of the current liabilities as well as the cash, and we get a cash ratio of 2.19%. And this cash ratio so happens to be a liquidity ratio, which measures the company's ability to cover its immediate obligations using only cash or cash equivalents. The cash ratio is the strictest and most conservative liquidity ratio. That's the definition. It shows how well a company can pay off short-term liabilities using only cash and cash equivalents, no receivables, no inventory, nothing that needs to be converted. And what does this cash ratio mean? The company has $2.19 in cash for every $1 of current liabilities, And this states that Ozark Adventure has very strong liquidity even under its tightest measurement. This gives us a brief understanding of the cash ratio as well as the financial position of Ozark liability at this point in time. Next, with all these ratios under consideration, let's type in our sixth prompt, which is, what do these ratios indicate about Ozark's Outdoor Adventures' overall financial position? Perfect. We get a brief overview of the financial position of Ozark Outdoor Adventures, and based off the quick ratio and the cash ratio being at 3.22, and the cash ratio being at 2.19, and the debt to equity ratio being at 0.66, Ozark Outdoor Adventures appears to be in a strong, stable, and financially healthy position. First, we see that the excellent short-term liquidity, both the quick and the cash ratio, are far above the benchmark of 1.0%. This tells us that the company has more than enough liquid assets to cover its short-term liabilities, and it does not depend on selling inventory to pay its current bills. And then we have a conclusion that Ozark Outdoor has a very strong short-term financial health, and can easily meet the immediate obligations. Second, we have a healthy long-term solvency position. The debt-to-equity ratio of 0.66 indicates moderate leverage. This means the company has 66 cents of debt for every $1 of equity, which is considered conservative. Ozark is not heavily reliant on borrowing, lowering financial risk. And the conclusion is the company's long-term financial structure is balanced, stable, and low risk. So the overall financial health, we start with strong liquidity. The company can easily pay off its short-term obligations, moderate and stable debt. The capital structure is healthy and not overly leveraged. And finally, low financial risk. Both the short-term and long-term indicators show strength. Perfect. And then we get our final assessment, just that the company has a strong cash reserves, excellent ability to meet obligations, low use of debt, and room for expansion or investment. Perfect. This is exactly what we wanted to know from the question that we asked earlier. Our seventh prompt, we're going to ask, create a bar chart illustrating the quick ratio, the cash ratio, and the debt to equity ratio. Label the x-axis as ratios and the y-axis as values, with the y-axis increments increasing by 0.5. Make the chart so I can download it. Perfect. This is by far the longest prompt we have. Excuse my poor typing. Perfect. Now, the eighth prompt I'm going to ask is save the bar chart as a PNG file titled as GenAI 81632 Lab. Awesome. And now the ninth and final prompt. Now input all the prompts that you used in the Excel document titled GenAI 81632 Lab Prompts. Awesome. Now that we have everything we need, all I'm asking for you guys is to do the assessment. And step one is to insert your complete bar chart showing your quick cash and debt to equity ratio into the Word document titled GenAI 81632 Lab Doc. Label the submission section as Submission 1 Bar Chart Visualization. 2. Include all ChatGPT prompts 1 through 9 on your lab workflow in the same document. Label this section as Submission 2 GenAI Prompts Used. And then the third step I want you guys is to respond to all the multiple choice and open responded questions. Based on your ratio analysis of Ozark Outdoor Adventures, be sure to explain your reasoning clearly in complete sentences. And then the last thing I want you to do is just to save and submit the completed documents as your final lab report. Thank you guys for listening and tagging along. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.